What if I told you there's a real island where thousands of lifeless dolls hang from trees, weathered, decaying, and eerily human? Where even the wind seems to whisper the cries of the dead, and visitors leave with a sense that something followed them. This is no movie. This is real. This is the island of the dolls, a place so disturbing that once you've seen it, it will haunt your dreams. A place where one man's obsession may have unleashed a curse that can never be undone. And the worst part, the dolls are still multiplying every single day. The secret that hides in Xochimilco's canals, not far from the pulsing heart of Mexico City, lies Xochimilco, known for its colorful canal boats and floating gardens. But hidden deep within this labyrinth of waterways is a small, forgotten island that no cheerful tourist ever dares to visit. The island of the dolls. La Isla de las Muñecas isn't just mysterious, it's terrifying. Locals call it cursed. Even experienced guides avoid it after sundown. Thousands of mutilated, rotting dolls dangle from the trees. Some are missing eyes, others have limbs torn off. Their twisted smiles seem to follow you as you walk. And the deeper you go, the louder the silence gets. Visitors often turn back within minutes, feeling watched. Some swear the temperature drops the moment they set foot on the island. But how did this nightmare begin? Don Julián Santana, the hermit who heard whispers. In the 1950s, Don Julián Santana Barrera, a quiet, devout man, left his wife and child behind to live in isolation on this uninhabited island. He wasn't running from anyone. He was running from the world. But what he found on the island would trap him there forever. And whatever it was, it didn't want him to leave. According to Don Julian, a little girl drowned near his island. Her body, limp and cold, was pulled from the murky canal. Clutched in her tiny hands was a doll. The authorities never confirmed it. No family came forward, no report was ever filed. To Don Julián, this wasn't just a tragedy, it was a warning, one he couldn't ignore. But Don Julián believed the girl's spirit had never left. The first doll and the first omen. Shortly after the drowning, Don Julián found a doll floating in the water near the same spot. Believing it to be a sign, he pulled it from the canal and hung it on a tree, hoping to appease the little girl's spirit. That one act started something he could never stop. It was no longer an offering, it became an obsession. From that moment, Don Julián said he could feel her presence, hear her voice in the night. Doors would creak open by themselves. Footsteps echoed across the soil when no one was there. The island was no longer his, it belonged to her. And the dolls became her messengers, watching, warning, waiting. To silence the whispers, he began collecting more dolls. From ritual to obsession, the dolls multiply. And then, he couldn't stop. Over the next 50 years, Don Julián transformed the island into a grotesque shrine. He pulled dolls from the trash. He traded his crops for broken toys. He scoured the canals for floating doll heads. He didn't clean them. He didn't repair them. He hung them just as he found them, dirty, torn, lifeless, as if that's how the spirits wanted them. He believed any change might provoke their wrath. Trees became graves. Branches turned into hangers for dangling limbs. His tiny hut became a dark altar covered with faces that stared endlessly into nothingness. Each doll was placed with care, as if each one carried a soul. Some say he was insane. Others say he knew something we didn't. The island breathes at night, the locals began to whisper. They avoided the island. Boats would not dock there. Fishermen refused to pass too closely. Children were warned to never ever venture near. Why? Because the dolls moved. They weren't just decorations, they were alive. At night, the eyes seemed to shift. Visitors claimed the dolls whispered. Some even heard crying in the darkness. They're watching, one man said, and if you listen, they speak. Even Don Julián himself claimed the dolls were possessed. He said he had no choice but to keep hanging them to keep the spirit calm. If he didn't, she would take him. Some nights he'd hang 3 or 4 in desperation, just to make the voices stop. A place of curses and cries, and then the stories got worse. People who mocked the dolls, they got sick. Tourists who took dolls from the island met with accidents. Even those who took pictures of certain dolls reported their cameras malfunctioning or developing strange shadows behind them in the images, shadows that weren't there. Some claim those shadows have human shapes, and they follow you home. One tourist said she felt something pull her hair. Another said her phone recorded whispering even though she was alone. Whatever lives on the island of the dolls does not want to be disturbed. The death of Don Julián. A sinister coincidence, in 2001, after decades of collecting dolls and tending to his haunted refuge, Don Julián was found dead face down in the canal. He drowned in the exact same spot where he claimed the little girl died 50 years earlier, and the dolls watched as if they knew. His family believes it wasn't an accident. They say the spirit took him. Others believe he was simply consumed by his own madness. Some even whisper that the dolls claim their maker. His body was pulled from the water. Just meters away, dozens of dolls swung gently in the wind as if watching. They say one doll fell from a branch that day, on its own, as if marking his death. Inside the cabin of nightmares, inside Don Julián's shack, remains a terrifying sight. Hundreds of dolls nailed to the walls, strung up with wires and rope. Some are dressed in torn children's clothes. Others have nails driven through their eyes. A small shrine rests at the center with candles, crosses, and offerings brought by those hoping to be spared. The air is thick. The walls seem to pulse, and no matter where you stand, the dolls are always facing you. People who've entered report feeling dizzy. Some say they hear breathing in the shadows. One man collapsed at the doorway and swore he saw a little girl watching him from the trees. Even seasoned paranormal investigators refuse to spend the night. A living shrine still growing, even after Don Julián's death, the legend only grew. His nephew Anastasio now watches over the island, and he continues his uncle's grim tradition. Visitors from around the world bring their own dolls, hanging them as offerings or to show respect. But each new doll adds to the darkness. The island isn't getting better, it's getting worse. The cries are louder now, the energy heavier. Some say the spirits grow stronger with each gift. Others believe more than one entity now calls the island home. One psychic said she saw dozens of spirits, children, adults, and something else, something older. The dolls are multiplying, but so are the voices, a warning in plain sight. What really happened on the island of the dolls? Was Don Julián haunted by guilt, or did he uncover something ancient, something cursed? Many call it madness. Others see it as a holy place. But one thing is certain, once you visit, you'll never be the same. The dolls aren't just hanging in the trees. They're watching, waiting, listening. And if you disrespect them, you might take something home with you. A curse, a spirit, or a memory that refuses to fade. Because some places aren't haunted by ghosts. They're haunted by obsession. Some dolls never sleep. The island of the dolls is not a myth. It exists. Its dolls are real, its silence is deafening, and its darkness runs deep. What began as a man's attempt to find peace became one of the world's most terrifying legends. But maybe Don Julián was never crazy. Maybe he was the only one who truly listened. And maybe that island still waits for someone else to hear the whispers too. If this chilling tale left you haunted or curious for more, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. We explore the world's darkest legends and the whispers that never die.